Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 3 is here. It is amazing. We want to do a breakdown of all the crazy spoiler type things that happen in the episode, and we want to talk about the greatest GIF ever created, and that would be, of course, dancing Zemo to the techno music. Let's go. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button, and a reminder, a large part of what we do at the Den of Nerds happens on our live streaming channel. So I just watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 3. We did a little watch party with the Nerdvengers, checked it out, and man, this was an incredible episode. A lot of people were anticipating this one. Zemo re-enters the chat, and man, oh man, did he really steal the show. Spoiler warning for the episode. Let's now go through some of the different things that were happening during this episode, some of the surprises, and maybe some things that you missed that actually do set up some crazy things for the future of the MCU. So, very similar to WandaVision, we actually get a little commercial that pops off at the beginning of this episode, right after the fanfare, and a lot of people had mentioned while we were watching this that it was very similar to, the commercials in WandaVision, but, obviously not meta. This is an actual commercial from the world of the MCU, talking about helping people adjust to the changes and to the new laws after the blip. We learned that an organization called the Global Repatriation Council is a thing that is set up to help people adjust to the blip. Now, this is kind of interesting because that's such a weird word, repatriation, making people patriots again or something like that. Very interesting. I guess in a world where, the blip sort of probably made a lot of like nationalism, countries and things just go away, and we are hearing that the Flag Smasher organization wants to go back to the way things were during the blip period. It would make sense that repatriation council is something that is going on in the world. Also really interesting, of course, this is the organization that is in charge of John Walker and Lamar Hoskins, as we do see right after this commercial, them coming out of a GRC van that is basically militarized, and you see people coming out with weapons, and they are ready for action. Now, Lamar and John Walker are looking for Carly. They have a lead on her, and that is why they are at this place here with the GRC, right? Trying to track her down. They cannot find her. Now, there's a little bit of commentary here about how they did provide stuff for people that were displaced during the blip. It breeds a little bit of loyalty, but interestingly enough, we see John Walker almost lose it in this scene. And we can kind of see where this is going to be going. We think John Walker may well get some of the super soldier serum, have mental problems already, PTSD, different things going on. Those two things, recipe for disaster, might break John Walker's brain, or he may have a reaction like he did here once he's on the super soldier serum, but he will not be able to control himself. So next up, we catch up with Sam and Bucky as they are going to visit Zemo. Now, this whole thing was incredible. An incredible sequence here. Bucky's like, hey man, you're an Avenger. He's not gonna like that. Me and him have history. Let me talk to him. They go in there, and there's an incredible conversation right away with Zemo. He says, I wanted to see how the new you reacted to the old words. There's a really interesting conversation there. Bucky just asks him what he is reading, and then we sort of cut to this scene where he's taking Sam through a scenario, which is something that actually happened, and it is a prison break. I love prison break scenes. I thought this one was excellent. Zemo was incredible in this scene. Bucky did a hilarious job of explaining it and taking them through, and then we get all of these characters together. Sam and Bucky get over their beef and decide, yes, they will work with Zemo, but they're like, Zemo, you are only going to do what we allow you to do. Now, this is why I love this episode so dang much, because we actually get the Zemo from the comics. And look, I loved Zemo in Civil War, but he was not the Zemo from the comics. Zemo is a Baron. Zemo has resources. Zemo is always in charge and has this blatant ego. And if you watched with the closed captions on, some of the things he was saying to his private pilot, even in front of Sam and Bucky, were horrible, but also totally Zemo. For him to be a Baron, for him to have all of those cars and those weapons and that mask, and to see him interacting with people in Madrid that call him Baron, man, as a comic book fan, that was so satisfying. Zemo is an incredible character. I'm really hoping we see more of this character moving forward in the MCU, and some of the things he was saying here and some of the things that are going on make me believe he is going to be a part of the Thunderbolts. We next see a scene with Carly and the Flag Smashers, as I believe Carly is saying goodbye to her mother, who I think we learn to find out is the person that had tuberculosis that was attempting to be saved by the guy in Madrid. But regardless, an emotional scene with the Carly character. Her mother is gone, and this will just come into play later because we do see Carly cross a line she hasn't seemingly crossed before, and the beginning of her perhaps dark path. Okay, so next we go into Madrid, and man, I loved the way they did Madrid. I love the music. Of course, the dancing. Zemo is life. Like, for real, that's my new favorite gif of all time. But beyond that, the discussions about it, the fact that you see the Princess bar, the fact that you're at the Golden Monkey, there's all these really interesting things, and the Power Broker looming over everything was amazing. And Winter Soldier having to be Winter Soldier again, fantastic. Bucky went crazy on those dudes in the bar. That was incredible. Now we next get into sort of a classic sort of situation where Sam gets a call, his cover gets blown, everybody's in trouble, except Sharon Carter bails them out. And man, Sharon Carter, in the 5 years after the snap, apparently became John Wick. Like, for real, she went absolutely crazy in this episode, really stole the show with action until Zemo kind of comes in later, and it's really crazy. But no, Sharon was nuts, dude. Like, really showed off a lot of the different abilities, a lot of strength, to the degree to which some people think that could even be a Skrull Sharon Carter, because that Sharon Carter seems to be awful.
She's kind of awful now.
So Sharon takes them to a place where she has been living quite lavishly, I may add, sort of being an art broker or a thief in Madripoor. She explains that she's had to be on the run ever since stealing the shield and wings back for those two, that her life is effectively over and she's kind of changed. Now, Zemo, Sam, and Bucky are all given the location of a random crate at the docks. They go into it, it's seemingly empty, discover a secret passageway, and then they end up finding a laboratory, and they end up finding a hidden underground laboratory with Dr. Nagel, who reveals himself to be someone that did recreate a version of the super soldier serum. He was brought back after the blip, and then contacted the Power Broker, who allowed him to continue his work, and he created 20 vials of new super soldier serum, which was taken by Carly and the Flag Smashers. He also, of course, reveals that Carly did contact him trying to get his help to save her mother from tuberculosis, which he was not interested in. Sharon gets kind of attacked outside of it. She's coming in to try to help Bucky and Sam out, get them out of there, but then everything goes to crap. Zemo kills the dude that was making the new super soldier serum. There's a rocket launcher fired. Then we enter into a crazy action sequence where seemingly Zemo is gone, and it's just Sam, Bucky, and Sharon. Now, the action sequence is dope, but I think it's kind of meant to let us know that these guys don't necessarily work together well as a team, and that there's issues between Sam and Bucky that are manifesting themselves in their inability to execute as heroes. Now, Sharon was pretty effective in this scene, but not like super effective. They were all pretty much screwed until Zemo comes out of nowhere, caps a bunch of them, the bad guys in the back, and then comes with a crazy car and gets them out of there. But it's just Sam and Bucky, as Sharon is left to stay in Madripoor. Now, we next pick up with Carly and one of her associates having a conversation about mourning, the fact that Carly has not been able to do that, the fact that Carly knows that Dr. Nagel was killed in Madripoor, and that they have the only serum left, and that the Power Broker will come looking for them. Then they are outside of this facility, and this symbol is really interesting. Of course, this looks like a big X-Man symbol. What could it mean? But we've also heard that it might be this symbol for the Ultimatum group or something similar from the comics. Who knows? Maybe there's some mutant stuff going on here. Maybe there's some Ultimatum stuff going on here. Some Weapon X program stuff. Could be really interesting. Basically, Carly and the Flag Smashers are really wanting to liberate. They have the last of the serum. They know they can negotiate, and they seem to think they only have one fight ahead of them, and then the world is theirs. Now we next catch up with John Walker and Lamar Hoskins as they are investigating the prison where Zemo just escaped. And of course, they mentioned that they know that Bucky and Sam were there, and they're wondering if they had anything to do with breaking Zemo out. And John Walker basically tells Lamar, we're going to go after these guys. I think they did break Zemo out. They were desperate for leads like us. We're going to do this. Lamar's like, okay, so this is probably off the books, right, Cap? And John Walker's like, if we get the job done, they're not going to sweat us on the how. So on the way out on the plane, Sam is checking with his partner Torres about the Danya Madani character, who is the sort of father, or rather mother figure that passed away, the link that they had to Carly. And Sam and Bucky moved to have a conversation about Sharon, the sacrifice for the shield. Sam's in a rough spot with all of this, man. He's thinking about all the loss that Sharon had to go through. He's thinking about how Nagel talked about Isaiah Bradley as though he weren't even a human being and the test subject, and just how crazy things had been. You can obviously see that Sam is going through a lot. He does not like the idea of this legacy and shield. He thinks he maybe should have destroyed the shield. There's a lot of tension between him and Bucky. And for the first time, Bucky says, it's not going to be Walker. We need a new Cap. Before you destroy it, I'll take it from him myself. And for the first time ever, we get the indication that if Sam really didn't want the shield, Bucky would take it himself and be Captain America, which is interesting because that was something that happened in the comics, and we've been interested in what is going on. Could Bucky be the one to actually take the shield at the end of this? I'm not sure, but this is a very interesting thing that's established in the show, and it's really crazy because Zemo seems to be playing both of them in this situation as well. Zemo says he has a place for them to go. We next cut to a scene of Carly stealing rations with the Flag Smashers from some kind of a base for her. Zemo tells them they have a place to go after Sam reveals the city that that lady died in. So they're going to go over there and check that out, of course. And then we cut to a scene with Carly where she is liberating some supplies from some kind of military base for her people. And we see for the first time Carly really go to the dark side a little bit here, as she does set off a bomb, which apparently does kill at least some innocent people that are in the building. Carly sort of remarks to her partner, these people only understand and respect one thing. And we see her for the first time going a bit of dark side. Now, the very end of the episode is absolutely incredible. We see these small silver balls that seem to be like little breadcrumb trails for Bucky in this little Eastern European city, wherever they are at, near the Baltic Sea. And he follows these little balls as little breadcrumbs until he meets up with a member of the Dora Milaje, clearly one of the Wakandan guards from Africa. And she immediately says something about Zemo, and man, oh man, that foreshadowing that Sam said earlier in the episode about how Wakanda will not forget what Zemo did, looks like that's going to come into fruition. And let's just start there on the speculation for next week. I can't wait to see what the Dora Milaje say to the White Wolf, what that relationship looks like, if we get maybe a flashback to Wakanda and Bucky's time there. I think if I were Wakandan, I would be pretty hurt and let down by Bucky because he is working with Zemo, the man that killed their king. I'm pretty sure that's going to be an unacceptable offense, maybe driving a new wedge between Bucky and Wakanda. Now, the reason that's really interesting is because I do see a scenario in which Bucky is driven into being a sort of villain or anti-hero again because the world won't embrace him or trust him. He may well have to go join the Thunderbolts or go dark side to continue to try to help the world in the way he can because he's not accepted and trusted. That's pretty crazy. Also, Zemo just pulling both of these guys' strings. I think he wants Sam to not want to be Cap and maybe want to fight against heroes. He wants Bucky to believe that you do need heroes, but that you can't work with the governments and the laws. He's really just trying to break everybody apart, and it's fascinating. Carly's going dark side. Shannon Carter's onto something with her people, trying to check out what is happening on the world. And of course, the power broker is going to get desperate and need that super soldier serum. And on top of all of that, we have Lamar and John as Cap and Blastar coming after Bucky and Sam and Zemo, and it looks like all of this is going to head into one crazy whirlwind of action and drama. I think, frankly, some of the stuff that's going on with the power broker stuff and whatever that X is hinting at possible mutant stuff is amazing. Now, I know we've got a lot of those rumors. We've been burned a little bit. And even for this episode in Madrid, there were rumors of different mutant characters, even at one point Wolverine possibly showing up in this episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Obviously, that did not happen, but that X certainly does look like something with the Weapon X program, mutants, or again, the Ultimatum people from the comics. So we could get some mutant stuff in some episodes coming up, or some really crazy super soldier stuff coming up. Regardless, man, I thought episode 3 was incredible. Zemo is the perfect character, as I said before, to introduce into the scenario of the show. Sam and Bucky playing off of him is so brilliant. Love what's happening. Can't wait to see the next episode and to see where the next 3 episodes take us for the finale of this show and setting up what's going to happen in the future of the MCU. And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our sort of little breakdown video of what happened in this episode 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Little things that you might have missed, connections, crazy stuff like that. A little bit of speculation there. We'll be doing some theory videos talking about this on different live streams, so make sure you check that content out as well. And let us know your thoughts about the episode and the show in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.